Count me off.
A 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3.
Oh, nice. Okay, do that again.
A 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. So sorry. I think you hit a minor, and then I hit a completely wrong chord.
That's another day in the life of a video. Woo!
God, we were doing so good until then.
Oh my God!
Maybe you just leave that in.
Yeah, dude, this is it. We're going. This is. I don't know what. Gotta get you to your next.
I don't know what chord I hit up there, but it wasn't the right one.
Me either. I got lost. I'm like, wait, hold on a minute. Okay,
that's a cool progression, though.
That's an awesome progression. Show them what it was, real quick.
Oh yeah, so A, F sharp, 6 minor, to this flat 7 G, to the 4 D.
Give me your feel. It was cool. Nice. It's always very humbling when somebody takes one of your guitars into your amps and it automatically sounds better.
No, man, you do have some great guitars.
Oh, wow. I'm lucky. That was a gift from my Fred, the guy that used to, owned Divided by 13 back in the day.
Very, very cool.
That's awesome.
Great guitar.
So Guthrie, when he came over, had a brilliant idea of kind of teaching everybody how to start dipping their toe into the melodic waters. And I really like the concept that you were getting into. Before we do that, Guthrie's course is going to be on sale for another 2 days, probably by the time you see this, 50% off. Biggest selling course we've ever had. It's amazing, super, super awesome. And it works great in tandem with any of the other courses that we've done. It's just a really great way to completely understand the fretboard. Like the comments, people are just, it's insane. So
amazing.
Check that out. It'll be on sale for a couple more days. And
thanks, by the way.
Yeah.
For all that.
Yes. Thank you.
I can't believe that
it's wild.
Beyond our wildest expectations.
10x beyond wildest dreams. But anyways, so good at teaching people, you are so good at teaching people how to start with the melodies. Once they understand the concept, then working it into something that's musical, which I think that's the next step everybody wants to know. Now we understand caged or whatever you want to say, triads, all that stuff that helps, arpeggio scales. Yeah. Now how do we take a progression like that and start to make music out of it? Yeah.
Well, the number one thing that always comes to mind is number one, you got to listen. Yeah. And you got to use you have to use your ears. And I know eventually I'm going to start sounding like a little bit of a broken record because I'm always going to come back to the things that I know changed my life. Yeah. Which was the whole name of that course. Yeah. The concepts that changed my life on the guitar, because I stand by those. The guys that we love, I talk to them, they're thinking about it the same way. Exactly. We're all thinking about this the same way. And so to really get there, to have the freedom that you need physically and with the mechanics of the instrument, those are the mechanics to me are just, they're just the tool to get the emotion and the feeling out. Yeah. So this is the vehicle. Okay. And then our selves are the creative force behind it. Okay. So I'm constantly thinking, what's the quickest and easiest way I can convey to you guys how to connect those two things? I know from my personal experience that it's having a really good foundation of the fundamentals. In your mind, what are those? The chord. Okay. The arpeggio, the pentatonic, and the major scale over a major chord. Okay. In all of the 5 shapes. And that allows your left hand and your eye to have it starts demystifying this.
It's like a map.
It's a map. It's a roadmap. You're seeing the notes in the chords are like become constellations.
Sure.
Literally, it's like a constellation. I could point to these chord tones in any of those G chords up the fingerboard without thinking about it, without having my hand on the fingerboard. I could do it in my sleep with my eyes closed. You can see them, like you can see the Big Dipper in the sky. You can see those on the fingerboard. Once you connect those dots, you start seeing the Big Dipper or or any of those constellations. And so that's kind of how I'm looking at it. And then once you see that there's a lot of repeating going on, there's only 3 notes, and any of these big giant G chords or E or D or A or whatever, C,
cowboy chords,
all the cowboy chords, all the caged system. I hate the word system, by the way, because it sounds like something new.
It's all clinical.
For as long as the guitar is tuned like this, then those fundamentals aren't changing.
Right.
Unless you tune to some open tuning, then all your fingerings change. But in this tuning, those chords are going to be like that for thousands of years. Once you get those under your belt, then you realize like, okay, well, in this big giant G chord, I don't necessarily need to be playing that chord all the time, because I've got what spells that chord out in 3 notes, the G, the D, and the B.
Sure.
And then as I play these other notes, well, that's just another G, that's just another G, that's another D. I've only got 1 major third in that whole giant chord. Well, I don't need all these notes. I can spell that out with those 3, or those 3, or these 3, or these 3. And so they're the same notes as you go up the fingerboard. They're just rearranged.
Sure.
And so that root 3rd and 5th there, if I go to this shape on those 3 strings, well, that's the 3rd, that's the root, and that's the 5th. So all they are is different degrees of the major scale stacked to make these chords. And that's an inversion, right? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 1, 3, 4, 5. I mean, so that's just the major scale. That's just the G major scale on all those strings. So you stack them together and you get a chord. So that means if I'm playing in the key of G major, I can start a melodic line on any one of those degrees of that triad. Okay. So I could start, if I'm here, I could start on the 3rd. I could start on the 5th. I could start on the 3rd. I mean, on the root, up to the 3rd. It's easier if I do it here. It's a better example if I show you in the C shape. So yeah, like the D shape, you might not gravitate towards the D shape for as much rhythm stuff or as much single note soloing. You're gonna.
It's a great transition spot.
Yeah, it's a great transition spot. You're gonna use it.
Oh, absolutely.
But you might not hang out there as long as you'd hang out on the C shape or the G shape, E shape while you're getting started. But so that, and the reason why is because you only get a triad here and here.
Oh, okay.
All these in the middle.
Stack.
So 1, 2, 3, 4 strings. That's a root, that's a 5th, that's a root, that's a 5th.
Power chord.
So there's not as much, it's a nice power chord. There's a lot of music in there, but it's not necessarily a place you're going to hang out a whole lot for a while. And so if I go to this C shape, this is a better example. If I start on the root, okay, that's the root to the 3rd. Now I'll go 3rd to the 5th. Now 5th to the root. Right? And then again, here's the root again. There's the 3rd. So I'm using the scale tones in between, but I'm basically connecting the notes your ear wants to hear played over that chord.
Yeah, the chord tone.
So it's very simple caveman approach. Like the same notes that are in this chord are the ones you want to hit with your lead playing. Well, everybody goes, well, how do I connect those? Okay. Well, that's when you have to have, this is the foundation. That's your constellation. Here's your next level of framework. You're just adding notes to the arpeggio, to the pentatonic. Then the pentatonic contains, you're adding the major scale to that. Okay. But then you're on this hamster wheel of like, okay, I know these scales, man. I can play these all day long. I know the scale. Well, then you have to listen and apply it to some music, either a record you want to play to, a buddy that you want to play with after school or after work. In our
Or don't even go to work.
Or don't even go to work. Just stay home and play guitar. Nice harmony. And so, yeah, so then you have to apply it to some sort of a foundation.
Okay.
Because if you sit at home and you just noodle with your delay pedal on and you're playing a bunch of single note stuff, hey man, that's great. But if you want to apply that to some music, any single note thing that you play, if there's not a chord behind it, well then that's kind of like going back to the basics of like, if I can play a G major pentatonic and that also works over E minor,
sure,
then there's your answer. I mean, if I play a bunch of single notes, there's 5 different chords you could put behind it that change the nature of that melody.
Well, let me do this. So let me play a G major to an E minor, since it's the same notes. And you show them how to take the same scale, but to make it sound like you're playing over a G, or make it sound like you're playing over an E.
Right. So that's the trick. Is yes, it's technically the same notes, but it's in context. When you go from the feel of the G major chord, and then you play an E minor chord, you're walking into a different room.
Totally.
It's a different scene in the movie, you know?
Right.
This is happy. This is darker and sadder. And so even though it's the same notes, the chord is defining the feel and the mood of the backdrop of the music. That's kind of the way I look at it. Is I'm not a schooled Berklee music theory musician.
Right.
I don't know what the circle of fifths are off the top of my head or any of that kind of shit. But I know what sounds good and what doesn't.
Works.
And what works.
Yeah. It's like
and to me, let's just define what works is. What works is what sounds good.
Sure. Yeah. What makes you like able to make music.
Yeah. And so that's another great point is, if I'm playing, let's just reduce it down to these 2 chords because that's what we're about to do. But G major, if I play this, and I end with a G, that's great. But if I do the same thing, well, I still have to acknowledge that that's an E minor chord.
Sure.
It's the same notes, but you have to bookend it in a way.
The right way.
You couldn't just play the same stuff over G that you play over E minor.
No.
You have to honor the chord change.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
there's
not always going to be just a black and white copy and paste.
Totally. Now you can solo.
Right.
Exactly. So if I play G to E minor, like and then to E minor. Okay, so one of the great things is, it's crazy because those are the same notes, but the great thing is you know how to lead into the next chord, and I think people that are trying to do this, they get stuck. They're like, oh, I played over that one chord, and then they forget about the chord coming.
That is a huge point. And I think that's the kind of stuff that we're probably going to get into in this next course. We're going to really, 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 really get into it.
Yeah. Because that's a massive...
That's a huge thing. And so what I equate that to, I love these analogies, but if you're driving your car 120 miles an hour, you have to be looking a mile ahead.
Right.
If you're looking down in front of the front bumper at 120, texting, you're going to run into something really fast.
Sure.
And so it's the same with the music. If you're playing something like that, where that's a great change. It's so fun to play over just those 2 chords.
Right.
But if the song was faster or there was more changes, well, then it gets more complex. But with that, I've got enough time I can really pause and let a couple notes ring. And the first thing I'm going to do, I mean, even though we have a limited amount of time here today, if you're playing a chord progression like the 2 we just did, I'm going to let you establish. I'm not going to play anything for a couple seconds at least, and let that chord progression be established.
Yeah. Okay.
Not only to us but to them.
Okay.
So where they can hear, well, what's the chords first before I just start going, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I'm playing so much shit, you can't even hear the chords at that point. So I want us to just go back. I want to go, okay, cool, man. I'm going to let Brett just have I'm going to let him set it up.
Yep.
And just get into those 2 chords. And then I'm going to play a couple notes, you know, and I was kind of going, okay, well, I think he's going to go to the E minor right here. I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's probably going to be right here.
Sure.
Okay. And it was. And then you land in the right spot. But if I go sit in with a band somewhere and you walk into a bar and they go, hey, man, Guthrie, let's get up and play one. I go, all right, guys, look, you know, I don't know any of your original music.
Sure.
You know, if it's something with a lot of changes, let's probably not do that.
Yeah.
Let's keep it easy. Is there any surprises? You know, does the bridge go to A flat, sharp, whatever? And I'm like, okay, well, let's keep it easy, you know?
Sure.
So just like we're doing, me and Brett are not rehearsing to do these videos. Yeah. We're showing up and got, you know, an hour to do something. And so it's like, yeah, let's come up with a cool progression. You said G to E minor. The other one we did, a little thing, A to 6 minor, flat 7, 4. Those aren't complicated, but the notes matter.
They matter a lot.
And so hearing those changes coming is the point of all this rambling on, is that you're exactly right.
Okay.
If you can hear the changes coming, and that goes back to the blues to me, to where you can feel music in these 4-bar kind of rhythms and phrases, right? Okay. To where it's not just, you're not just out in the deep blue sea floating around on a life raft. I mean, you've got something to hold on to. You know, there's 4 bars. Like when you played that G, I knew that you were going to go to the E minor because that's a universal
you can feel it.
Of that's where that's coming. And if if you were going to do like, hey man, hey Guthrie, this one, I'm going to go G to E minor, but there's going to be 3 bars of G, and then I'm going to go to 5, 7 and the time signature over the E. And I'd be like, well man, Brett, can you hit the pause button for a second? And I'm going to have to think about that for a minute.
Right.
Well, yeah, okay, of course. I mean, but if things are based on the blues, and that you might sit here and go, that chord progression has nothing to do with the blues.
No, it totally does.
But it's the feel of the phrases.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't have anything to do with this.
1, 4, 5, yeah.
But it's the feel of like, just, okay, there's 4 bars. Okay, he's going to go another 4 bars. And then there's probably something going to happen.
Yeah, totally.
That's a good point. One of those groupings, right? So when you can feel that coming, then you can anticipate, okay, well, what am I playing right now, and what am I going to do to lead into that next chord?
So with that in mind, if we're playing over the G, what are you kind of thinking about, and then leading into the E? Like if we broke it down, so they can get an idea how you think about it as you're going into that next chord.
Well, I know that just from playing by ear, I know that if I grab a comfortable spot on here where there's the root, I know that's a G root. If I slide up and just grab that G root, as soon as I hear that note, then my ear is off to the races, and I'm going to be able to follow that up, and then that starts the story. Okay. You know, that starts the conversation. So so Brett's got the subject matter with the chords. Okay. You're the, what are we talking about? Sure. That. Okay. That's the storyline. Well, then now I'm going to have to, I'm adding a little bit to the conversation. Well, I might play a note or 2. Okay. Well, as soon as I hit that 1 or 2 notes, that's leading my ear on the journey of, okay, well, what's coming next? Well, you just played the root. You're not going to just keep playing that again. Mm-hmm. I might follow that up with a little phrase, Okay. Like I did a second ago to kind of prove a point here. I put this in intentionally because we were talking about it a second ago, starting on the root 5th or the 3rd. When he was playing in G, I went, and I kept climbing through those chord tones. Then here, I was right there to go to the E. Yeah. So you're keeping climbing. I could go. Sure. You could go right down the scale. So I could use the G major scale technically, but I need to know that I'm landing on, You know.
Let me do this. Let me
Just
play
go
those
there, right?
Let me play those chords real fast, and you reverse engineer what you play.
Right. And here's one last thing I want to show you. And so here's really to get into where that's coming from. If I'm playing this as a G, the only note that's changing to go to E minor is that. That's all staying the same. So in a G triad, that's my root, that's my fifth, that's my third. Right? Yep. But if I do this, well, now that's my flat 3, that's my root, and that's my fifth in E minor.
And they're right next to each other.
So if I go,
that's such a good point, though, because
all those chords are
right there.
They're right there. Yeah. So that's the thing. So with all these repeating, like I said a minute ago, all these big giant chord shapes, there's only 3 notes in those chords. If it's a major chord, there's only 3 notes. And so that's why I'm preaching about the triad and building those sounds with moving just one note, because that's not just happening there. That's happening in every single triad with all these notes that are stacked. And so once you get your head around the fact that the guitar is just repeating itself, like everything in the world that you need to play, you could do right here.
So the other,
and also right there, and also right there.
Yeah,
and
right. Because it repeats, right?
It's all repeating.
So the other notes in the scale per se would be the words to get to the point.
Yeah, the more I think about the parallels of language and music,
so tied together.
It's so tied together. Yeah. It is. It's a language, and so you've got. If I talked really slow, these guys would be like, well, what's he saying? Yeah. Well, it's the same with music. If somebody comes in and just starts bashing on the guitar, it's like the guy at the bar that's had 12 drinks. Yeah. He's 7 foot tall and he's had 12 drinks. You're like, dude, come on. I'm done here already, and you're not even started yet. And so it's just like that. Yeah. If you play too much, it's like somebody talking too much at the bar. Okay. If you play too loud, it's like somebody screaming in your ear all day long. Sure. But if you get, if you get soft, then people are leaning in. They want to hear more.
Even the rhythm of how you say things.
And the rhythm and the it's a short story. It is a long one. Sure. All those things there, it might sound cheesy, but when you think about it, man, the parallels are just amazing.
Totally. You're still telling a story, but with notes instead of words.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to play G, and then I'm going to go into an E and just kind of talk through it. So if I go,
I'm going to play some grace notes, pickup notes, getting to the root from starting on in the D shape. Okay. I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to go into from the 5 right to the 1.
Okay, all right. So you want me to play it like with the rhythm?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, what was that slide?
So just pentatonic. So 5th to the root, and then the next phrase, root to the 3rd. And now I'm in the C shape. My fingers are, if they're hanging out here, okay, right there. So I might put a little
R&B love on there.
A little right up to the 3rd. Might answer it. Might go back to the 3rd. Might put a little call and response in there. Okay. So that's all pentatonic, but it's
so good though.
Just phrasing those to where you're not landing on notes that aren't the money notes. So to me, the pentatonic is not. So the pentatonic and the major scale and all the stuff that you guys have already learned, that doesn't just mean that you can land on any of those notes.
Yeah, you have to phrase with intention.
Yes, so phrase with intention. So if I've got the G here, the A is not a resolved tone. Sure. The A is leading you to the B. Right. Just so you don't just go G to B. It just shortens that gap, which makes it sound more like music because you're leading your ear
right
more gently to that next note,
yeah,
right?
Totally.
So it's like if somebody goes, well, yeah, like this note, you know, let's see, let's use this for example, like,
yeah,
you know, like you might hear that note and go, well, dude, that doesn't work. But if you go, you know,
yeah, right.
Well, it's going by so fast.
Yeah,
it's leading you somewhere.
Sure.
So that's kind of the push and pull of it. But in a simpler way, the pentatonic, G to the A to the B. Well, then, you know, to the 5. Okay, 5 to 6 to root.
Okay.
Well, I'm not gonna necessarily land on the 6 and hang there. I'm gonna get off those notes quickly and get to the note that is okay to pause on.
Okay.
And so that means that, like I said, the A is not a chord tone, the B is. The E is not necessarily a chord tone, but the 5th and the root is.
Okay.
Right? So you're constantly just trying to get to those very simple common tones.
Sure.
You're just trying to do it in a way that sounds like music, you know?
Okay, so if we take that one step further, and now you're going from the G leading into the E.
Okay.
And then
playing. Let me show you how simple that is.
Yeah, okay, here we go.
Okay, right there. Right, so it's G triad, C shape.
It's right there?
Right there. So, or, right, it's that simple, you know.
Oh, dude, yes.
You know, those little sides. Because that's G major.
You gotta put some of that stuff in the next
that's
chorus.
that, yeah, sure. So that's, but there's that. So since that's your G major,
okay,
that's your E minor 7 right there. But same thing. So there's the point. There's the 3rd and the root of the G out of that chord shape.
Yeah.
But if I put, that's why you hear all these pop songs go.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that works over everything.
Everything.
Yeah, but if I did 3 notes, it doesn't really quite. That's when things start getting a little muddy because you're spelling out more information.
Okay.
So so that's what I'm saying. If you use 3 notes, like if you do something like this, well then you're spelling out more of the chord than if you did 2 notes or whatever. And if you use 1 note, well then there's a lot of different chords you can put behind it because there's less information.
That makes sense.
It's like if the bass player, like working with a trio, if the bass player plays a G note, just 1 G note,
right,
and then all you have is drums and me, I haven't said anything yet. Well, I can interpret that G depending on what the song is. I could play G minor, I could play G major, I could play G dominant 7, I could play any G I wanted to, or a plethora of other chords.
Oh, that's a good point.
Under that note.
Yeah.
But as soon as another guitar player or an organ player is there, or a piano player, and he's playing a bunch of big chords defining all these thirds and 13s or whatever it is, well then I'm painted into more of a box.
Sure. No wonder why you wanted a trio.
So the trio,
like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's why the trio is so liberating because
totally.
It is like I could play almost anything over these, like we have a song that goes, that has an F minor in it.
Okay.
And so it's like the solo section is like B, F sharp minor, G major 7, E minor.
Right.
And it just cycles through those. And it might seem complicated, but it's really not. But when I go when he plays the B, and then he goes to the F sharp minor, he's not playing this. He's just playing that. So I could go.
Yes.
I could play F minor, but I could also go. Where it's more dominant and then even diminished.
Yeah. That song, so when you guys play that is...
Yeah, I can mess around with the harmony because he's only playing one note.
Yeah.
There's nothing defining it. But as soon as you go...
Yeah.
Or... Well, then that starts spelling it out.
Well, it's interesting now.
So that kind of shit right there, you know?
Now that you say that, because I always wondered, I'm like, how does all that stuff work over that same... when you guys play that song live, because you do that, you weave in all of that stuff. Well, it's super cool.
And the other thing about this is the fact that the reason that I feel very liberated and not as near as insecure about this as I did years back, because of, I mean, the path of my career, I guess, with just working with guys that I'm like, well, these guys wouldn't be working with me if I sucked really badly. And so there must be something going on here. Okay. Well, yeah. And it feels good. And I know if this feels good and somebody like Tom wants to make a record, I'm like, okay, we must be doing something right. I'm not patting myself on the back, but it does give you a little bit of confidence to go like, okay, well, it's cool. We're on to something here.
Yeah.
My point of all that is to say that when I'm playing, I've got these fundamentals with my left hand to kind of know where I can go to make these sounds I want to make from playing for a long time. Of course, you know, I'm able to play a little bit, but what's going on in my head is I'm not thinking, okay, it's B minor and that's the 6 of D. And then I go to the F sharp minor and that's the 5 minor. I can really play the sharp, blah, 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 blah. A lot of people are thinking like that. And what happens is that's going 120 miles an hour and
texting
and you're texting. And so you need to be going 120 miles an hour and you've got nothing but wide open space in front of you and you're seeing way out in front of it. So I'm taking just the feel of those chords and I'm letting my ear determine where I'm going.
See,
and with my left hand, I'm just trying to not paint myself into a corner that I can't get out of.
But okay,
you know
I'm really glad that you brought this up because I'm not
hindered by, okay, well, what note is that? You know,
so what might be interesting at some point is to just have you play over a bass player's progression and show the possibilities over any given section of a song. Yeah. Because that song specifically, when you guys play it at night, I mean, it's like one of those songs that just like full wild ride.
Yeah. It's a wild ride. Yeah.
And I'm always wondering, like, why does that work? Like, there's so many different things going on.
And that's challenging for me because it is a quick tempo. Yeah. I mean, those chords are changing, you know. They're cooking along pretty good. And I just don't want to play B minor pentatonic over that. I want to honor those changes. And so it's a challenge for me I have to really be on my toes on that one. You know, and that's okay to be on your toes. It still doesn't ruin it. Right. But it just, on that one, I just have to make sure I'm a little more conscious, you know.
Okay, wait, let's wrap it up, but let's go. We did the G and we got to the one thing I noticed right off the bat is you only played like 2 notes, but it could have worked over the entire length of that E chord and would have been just fine.
Yeah.
So I'll start it off again. So if we went 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what's some of the thinking getting out of E back into G?
So on that one, I love this little thing here. All that is the major scale, but I'm going, because since these 2 notes are the same as E minor and G, and that's E minor, I love that little thing. It could be, it's all the same.
Okay.
Same there. And then once I'm there, you know, could just do that. I mean, so since that's right there.
So the first hammer on is honoring the E minor, and then the last part is G.
Yeah. So if I go, could use those if you want. What that does is when you do this, that's kind of nice because it bends your ear a little bit because you're putting you're putting the 2 in there.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
That kind of, this.
Okay, yep.
The E minor 9.
9, yeah.
So all that is without having to think of E minor 9, is just, well, when I went there, I just slid up and then landed on the 5.
Okay.
To bend your ear a little bit more out of this. Okay, sure. That's pentatonic, but this is also kind of pentatonic. That's a whole step. It's not anything too outside the box. So you're just literally going right back wherever you are. You're just right there. Because it is the same framework. It is the same pentatonic. So the only thing you have to worry about is the beginning and the end.
Right.
Once you get in the middle, then you're kind of okay.
Sure.
If you use your ears.
Yeah, right.
But it's just getting out and getting in.
Yeah, because like when that next turn, your ear's looking for that resolution or whatever.
And what it really, really boils down to, this is just a huge part of it, is as well as using your ear and all these other things, it's all connected, but just having the confidence to know that you're trusting your ear. When you can get to the point of trusting your ear, when you've had enough, experiences in your life to where you've heard it not work.
Sure.
And then you start eliminating that, and you keep cycling through this and eliminating the bullshit and refining as you go throughout your life, then you've heard what works. You've heard what doesn't work. You've heard other people play stuff that doesn't work. You've heard them play things that work. So it doesn't have to be complicated, but you do have to really be confident. When you land on one of those notes, just hang out there for a minute.
Right.
Don't worry about playing a bunch of other stuff, because that's when you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah. Well,
it's like talking too much. Don't give everybody all the information all at once.
All at once. The one of the things I've found that somebody told me in the past when I was a kid is, he's like, if you can hum a tune at all, he's like, start there, because you're naturally gonna phrase less like a guitar player.
Totally.
And then figure out what those notes are. Totally. Start there so your ear starts, that's where that note is. That's what that,
100%.
And you start to be able to associate the tones at least too.
Exactly. If you have a childhood melody that I mean, it could be Happy Birthday, it could be Take Me Out to the Ball Game, it could be When the Saints, from the Gulf Coast, so When the Saints Go Marching In, or any Andy Griffith Show, anything, the Flintstones, I mean, how hard is this? I'm not even, that's all it is. And so, but if you played one of those notes wrong, the whole world would know it.
For sure.
You don't have to be an amazing singer to know that a note of the Star Spangled Banner is wrong.
Right.
So so learn those, and that really helps with your intervals. That's another big thing, is that getting into intervals.
Yep.
Knowing if you're here, what movement is going to get you to the next proper note. So trusting your intervals, and like Happy Birthday trips me up every time, because it doesn't feel like the note that's right is going to be there.
Sure.
But it is. Last point of this is, in this last course that we just did, I'm 99% sure we covered this, and this is a great trick.
Okay.
I call it a trick because it kind of is. It works everywhere. But if I'm playing in this shape, or this shape, doesn't matter. If I'm playing it major or minor, because it only takes 3 notes to define those two sounds. Dominant 7, you need 4. Major, 3rd, 5th, and flat 7.
Okay.
So with major or minor, this exercise works. And this is a trick and an exercise to allow you to land on the right note every time.
This is really
and
good.
So it's this. Here's G major, root, second, third. The groups of 3 notes at one time, right? Or 3 notes at a time. Stop there. That's a resolve. Next, that's a resolve. Now 5th to the root, no 7. So 5th to the root, that's a resolve. Then root to the 3rd again. 3rd to the 5th, 5th to the root to the 3rd. Okay, I'm just playing the bass note so you can hear it, but together that's. It works every time. You can't lose with that.
Sure.
And it takes the scales and the fundamentals and makes it sound
musical,
more like music. So, okay, let's do it one more time. Here's another, just to prove my point that it works everywhere. Here's your D shape where you have the 3rd on the bookends.
Okay.
So here. If you had to complete it, you can go down.
But you still hear that that's right.
It works.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Then go to the C shape. Start on the 3rd. It works everywhere.